Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be getting into all the things that I like and the things that I don't like about the all-new 2021 Toyota Camry XSE Hybrid, and then we'll give my final thoughts as well. So let's pop right into the video. So per normal, we'll start things off at the front end of the XSE Camry. First off, I really like the body lines here on the hood. I think they look fantastic. That's definitely a huge positive if you ask me. Coming down below, I like the new headlight design as well. I think that looks great. And then all of the accent here on the front end, I think it just looks good. The Camry's a really good looking car from a front end perspective. I know some people might complain about this being fake and closed off and all that, but it's still like it matches the rest of the grille, and so I think all of it just ties in together very nicely. The fact it has a front camera is nice, and then also the parking sensors. And then I love how Toyota gives their logos rather some blue. If it's a hybrid, I think it's kind of like a thing where it's like, if you know, you know. Yeah, front end perspective, I think it's a good looking car overall. And then coming here to the side, I love the blacked out wheels that are part of the XSE package. I think it kind of gives it a cool look. Got our hybrid badge, neutral about that. I will say that. One thing I don't really like is the chrome trim on the badge. Then here, the XSE package is supposed to make things sportier, right? With the looks. And the chrome trim kind of defeats that just a little bit. So I think that they should get rid of the chrome trim around the windows and the logo, maybe just like black out the logo and then on the mirror as well. I think that would make it look better. Side profile on the Camry I think is strong, just looks good. And you guys can see the bulging there. I think that is really cool. Now moving here to the back, we'll actually pop the trunk. Key fob, pretty cheap. Also, when I did my review, the trunk did not pop open this much, so suspicious. Anyways, cargo space back here is fantastic. I think that's a huge positive. So it's got a ton of trunk space, and then also the fact that you can lower down the seats with these little latches. I think that's another big positive. So yeah, we won't spend too much time on that. And then finishing things here on the rear, same thing with the badges. They're all chrome. I wish they were blacked out or something, you know, just to go with the theme of the XSE, which is, you know, sportier looks. I've always liked this little like teardrop that comes off the side. I think it is pretty cool. Exhaust tips popping out there. Looks pretty good. Then the parking sensors are pretty prominent, so that's interesting. Yeah, that's pretty much all for the exterior. It's a good looking car. Popping here to the back. First off, I like the material use here on the door panel itself, and then this trim piece that connects. I think that's great. The seats are really comfortable here in the XSE package. You got nice perforations on them. There are a couple things I'd change here to this rear area though. I think that it should probably at least have heated seats here in the back. It's good that it has vents back here though, but I mean, you've got this nice perforated leather that's looks really nice, and you've got heated and cooled seats for the front, but then you have nothing for the rear passengers. So, you know, I think they could add something like that. That would be cool. Boom. Now popping here to the front, we've got blind spot monitoring for the mirrors, which is a huge plus. And then the door panel here, I think it's nice material-wise, right? Looks really durable with everything, and you got all the controls you need, nothing you don't need. And then here for the front seats, they're great. Like I said, they're heated and cooled, which is a big positive. I think they look really nice, and they're comfortable. And then you guys can see the adjustments there with the seat. Now we're gonna pop in. I love the blue stop-start button for the hybrids. Now popping into the steering wheel, I think the material use is nice. Controls are very self-explanatory. I like this cruise control setup rather than like the stock that will be in other Toyotas. That makes sense, but also it's kind of annoying. Paddle shifters, I haven't used them once, so I don't know. It's kind of superfluous, I suppose. And then you guys can see here with the volume controls, all that stuff, I think it's great. Like I said, very self-explanatory. That's something that's cool about Toyotas, is everything just makes sense with where it's put. And then your stocks, same thing. All the controls over here, same thing. I will say the camera system, the camera view is, you guys can see, it's not necessarily the nicest. I mean, it gets the job done, but it's just, it's not on par with what you have from other manufacturers at this price point. And then you guys can see the same thing with this camera. It gets the job done, but like the resolution and everything is not the greatest. Moving on from that to the center gauge cluster. This is something that I think is pretty strong. I think it looks good. Again, self-explanatory. Like you got the hybrid stuff over here, got your speed, and then you got stuff like the fuel economy there in the center. Then you can change the menus with that. But yeah, I think it's just overall really easy to use, really self-explanatory. So I think Toyota did a good job with all of that, just the setup on it. And then the climate controls here, that's another thing, very easy to use. and it's got dual zone climate, so that's a big positive. The touchscreen, although it doesn't necessarily look the most modern, it's very easy to use, and response time with the buttons is great. So like if I press apps, for example, you guys can see the response time with that. So yeah, I think that they did a good job with all of this in terms of the usability with it and everything. And then wireless phone charger. This is something that I definitely do not like. I'm not a fan of it. Phone slides all over the place, and sometimes it charges, sometimes it doesn't. It is cool though that it has like storage space underneath, so like you can click the phone charger away with the storage space. So I think that is definitely a huge positive. That's cool, but again, Toyota needs to do something so it holds your phone in place. Shifter, I mean, I don't have anything to say about that. All the controls here, again, self-explanatory. And then you guys can see the center console, that whole setup. And then everything over here as well looks nice. Glove box is kind of interesting with the setup on it. And then we don't have a center for anything like that. It's be nice. I believe you can get a panoramic center for the Camrys now, so it'd be cool to have something like that. And then we'll pop here to the window sticker, so I guess we can talk about the price for a second, and then also the fuel economy. So you guys can see the fuel economy here, 44 around town, 47 on the highway. If you guys remember, I had a Prius earlier this year, and you know, similar setup, right, with being a Toyota and a hybrid. That one was all-wheel drive, this one is not. And I struggled to get the EPA ratings for the fuel economy. I was pretty close. This is the same thing. Like, and understand, this is not ideal conditions. I'm at over about 4,500, 5,000 feet elevation, and it's winter time, so it's cold, and I drive, you know, kind of with a little bit of a lead foot, but still, you know what? I feel like I'd get closer than what I've been getting, because I've been doing a lot of highway driving, and a lot of it hasn't been as, you know, with a massive lead foot or anything like that. So I will kind of say that. And then also the total MSRP here, $36,000. I think is reasonable. The one thing that I will say is I think Toyota should roll out their all-wheel drive with the hybrids, just like what they have with the Prius. You can get an all-wheel drive in the Prius, and that's always a hybrid. So I think they should do that with the Camry too, all-wheel drive with the hybrids, and then obviously the V6, but you know, this is about the hybrid. I think that would be nice, especially since I drove this in the snow a little bit, and I'll talk about that. So the car did pretty good driving in the snow. It's front wheel drive, so it's like it wasn't scary or anything like that, and I got decent grip and all that kind of stuff. I guess the only thing that I would have a little bit of a gripe with is the fact that it would have been nicer to have all-wheel drive, because I've gotten a little bit more grip with the car, but it got the job done at least. So now let's get into my final thoughts here on this XSE hybrid and whether or not you should get it. So first off, let's start with the hybrid part of the Camry, and we're going to move over here. I think that the hybrid Camry is absolutely amazing because it actually has some level of acceleration, whereas the Prius does not. So that is a huge positive for the Camry. And on top of that, it's got a ton of space. It's got more space than the Prius. I think it looks a lot better than the Prius. And so I'd rather get one of these than a Prius. And it's very similar in price to a Prius, which is pretty crazy to think about. But yeah, I think this is the better hybrid option. I know the fuel economy is not as good, and I know it's not technically as iconic as a hybrid as the Prius, but like I would rather get this over a Prius. So I love the hybrid part of it. Like I said, I would just ask Toyota to maybe add all-wheel drive to it. As for the XSE package, I think this package is great. It gives you a nice interior. It looks great on the exterior. There's a few elements that I'm not in love with, like the chrome bits. But overall, I think it's a really solid package, interior and exterior-wise. And I think Toyota's just done a really good job with it. And so I'd recommend, even if you're not going to get the hybrid, the XSE is something you'd want to look into. And overall, the Camry's a really good car. It's reliable, it's comfortable, it's a really good daily driver as well. I've been driving it for a week. I've put a ton of highway miles on this car, and it's just done a really good job. It's been really comfortable, and so I don't really have anything bad to say about the car. It's not particularly exciting, it's not the best looking, it's not the craziest, but it just does a really good job at pretty much everything, unlike this washer. This washer is absolutely horrible. But anyways, that's going to sum things up for today's video. I'll see all of you in the next video.